Hi, my peoples. This is the Black Opinionated Woman. I am the Black Opinionated Woman, also known as a bow. I want to welcome my bows and bow ties to today's live broadcast here. And before I get into it, I'm going to play my intro shortly. I just want to talk about, the topic. Are we repairing the Black family? Is it all cap? Is it serious? Are we for real? So let me go ahead and play my intro here, and hopefully people will be able to join in shortly. Okay, let me see. How do I look here? I'm sorry. I know I look a little frazzled just because today is Veterans Day. So happy Veterans Day to all my veterans out there. I too am a veteran. I spent a little over 5 years as an officer in the United States Air Force. I got out as a captain. Let me see. People are trying to let me know when they can and cannot get in. So anyway, I just wanted to say hate saying happy Veterans Day. Sounds weird, but I just want to like call just a little bit of attention to the veterans out there. So, all right, let's see here. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna enter this broadcast also from my iPad. I have my lights off, so hopefully I'm gonna see which one is better. See, I think my iPad is better. What do you guys think? Let me enter this studio here. Whoa. So I turned my volume down. I think I'm gonna just use the iPad version here and remove myself in here. But all right, so let's talk about what's going on with the repairing the Black family. Let me go get myself together here. Bring up my couple of notes here. Sorry guys, I was running around putting dinner in the oven since I'm home today, and I had to drop some stuff off at the Goodwill. I had to pick up some extra Girl Scout cookies, but I'm here. I am here. So, let me see where I want to go with this. Okay, I put in a couple of notes to self here. So, I just want to talk about this whole thing. So, where did this come from? So, for those of you who may or may not have been following, sorry, I'm looking at my computer. Let me look at my iPad here. So, for those of you who may or may not have been following anything that I put out over the last week or so, a lot of it was in reference to, of course, I'm myopically focused on the Black woman, at least in I guess the last week or two, and primarily because when I would bring up my YouTube account, okay, and I was searching on all kinds of stuff, things that I find interesting, and then there's things that are related to what I would like to talk about. But what I was seeing show up in my feed was a lot of stuff from a lot of like the men out here were like bombing out the women. Okay. So I was looking up some stuff on should or should not, start looking into YouTube shorts and something else I was looking up. But I'm getting all of this stuff in my feed about it's just bad stuff about Black women. So that's the reason why you may have seen in the last week or two, I've been very focused on Black women. Now, how does this relate to the whole Black family thing? Many of the people who like to badmouth Black women, they'll talk about it's all in relation. Now, I'm not using the exact verbiage, but it's all in relation to Black relationships in the family. Many people believe that Black men and Black women should be together, and I'm here for it. Right? I think the biggest thing for me is I don't let that. I'm here for the Black woman, Black man relationship, but I just don't think that should be the only option. Not in 2021, going into 2022. Sorry, I'm super thirsty. So anyway, one of the things I want to talk about first was, are we really interested in building the Black family? So as you've seen from my, let me bring this up. Okay, hold on a second. What my thumbnail? Let me bring it up. Hold on. Let me get myself together. Um, why does it come up so big when I bring it up this way? Let me share this out for a second. Uh, okay. So for those of you, let me see if I can make it bigger. Let me take this down. This is my first question, right? Now here it says it's all cap. Now it's a little it's meant to be a little kind of like, what did she say? Like, what does that mean? So let me just say this. Are we really interested in building a Black family? I don't know. I can't say for certain we are. I don't know of any group or culture that sets out to say they're interested in building the family and publicly badmouth each other. It's on both sides, but I'm seeing it disproportionately coming from our men. You cannot sit there and say you want to build the Black family when you are publicly trashing an element of which makes up the Black family. It doesn't even make sense. You cannot tell me that this makes sense. Let me see if I can do it this way. Okay, this doesn't necessarily make sense. Now, when I see that there's a lot of trashing, like I said, much of what I was saying in the past is I'm seeing a lot of women going out getting counseling, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, wait a second, why is it that the women are leading this charge? What is wrong with this picture? Because, see, to me, if you're going to lead, then you should be out front, right? Why is it that it's like a bunch of women going out leading this charge? I don't see men going to go get any help. There's a lot of issues going on with the men too. But yet there is this unhealthy fascination with tearing down Black women. So now you've got women going out here getting all this help, just paying up all their little bit of money, going to go get counseling because they have listened to a bunch of people tell them that they are trash. So I can't say confidently that I believe that we are interested in building the Black family. How can we say we're interested in building the Black family? Um, we we don't even want to have Black children. And that goes on both sides. Now, I know people are going to want to come for me and say, like, oh, but you told people to go date interracially. I think that's an option. I wouldn't wait around for, the Black Knight. I think ultimately we cannot possibly say that we're interested in repairing the Black family when the language that is associated with the women alone. See, where's the leadership? What is being built? I don't see anything that says, okay, we're building. What I see is division. I see vitriol, the language. It's disgusting. That's what I'm seeing. So ultimately, I think when people are out here saying, like, we're all interested in building, but I'm like, no, you're not. You cannot, out of one side of your neck, rip somebody a new butthole, and then on the neck and the other side, but we're interested in building the Black family. No. I think everyone is literally out there just yip yapping. And then as soon as somebody does something great, it's like the ultimate virtue signal. Everyone just starts, well, I don't know. Am I doing it? I hope I'm not. Sorry, I got my ponytail sticking out. Can you guys see what's going on in the back here? It's a lot going on. So anyway, yeah, like I'm sitting here like, I don't believe collectively we're interested in building the Black family. And not only that, but let's go on. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at my computer. What does the Black family look like? What does that look like? Do our multiracial children not count? Does it look like male on male, female on female? Does it look like only biological children? What does that look like? And let me just say, not only that, let's talk about the families that have single parents. Because see, when they talk about there being a single mother, then that means there's also a father that's missing from that picture, right? That means the father's not present. Regardless of the reason, good, bad, or indifferent, the father is not present. So let's talk about that. So do we tear down the single parent families? Are they not considered family? How do we make that unit stronger? What I see out there is this unhealthy fascination with tearing down single parent families, which are headed primarily by women. And so, like I said, we want to get back to this accountability thing for a second. I just find it interesting that the men have this unhealthy fascination with the women right now. They're like, we want to hold you accountable. Who the heck are you? Hold yourself accountable. They're like, well, you shouldn't be out here having these babies. I'm like, wait a second. You had a man and you had a woman who got together to engage in the good. And hold on a second. So a man and a woman decided to get together and engage in the good. And then they produced something. And then they say that it is the woman that is not accountable. I'm like, well, wait a second. She's the one that's taking care of the children, right? I would think she's definitely being accountable for that action. The question is, how are the men being held accountable? That's yummy. That's like some Sprite with cranberry flavoring. I just came back from the grocery store while, I had the house to myself and it smells good because it's been clean. Yeah, so, I'm all for all this holiday stuff out here, the special Sprites and the different flavored cakes and stuff like that, even though I'm not a big cake fan. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so what does the family look like? And not only that, if the family doesn't look like what people think it should look like, does that mean they're not family? Does it mean they're not worthy? How do we strengthen those units? Because tearing it apart does us no good. There is no upside to bad mouthing that. So the key was, how do we repair? So this is what I want to talk about next. So the first thing I said was, are we really interested in building the Black family? I think the answer is no. Secondly, I said, what does the Black family look like? I'm going to move on to the third thing. I want to talk about the kids that are in the system. Now, I find this interesting because I wasn't going to speak on this. I have been tossing this back and forth. Okay. So, I know of a couple who does not look like me, but they adopted children that look like me in Latino, whatever. And oftentimes there will be people in the black community will scoff at non-Black people adopting brown children. And yes, you can look into all the horror stories. There's a horror story, there's an edge case for every scenario. But this is the thing that drives me insane. These so-called, I want to repair the Black family and this, that, and the other. I don't see these people going out there and rescuing our children. I don't understand why these children are not worthy of being, I'll say, rescued. And yes, there's always a bad element out there doing bad things. But what about the people who are doing good things? What about the people who are doing their best? What about the people who want to provide a home for these Black children who have been let down by the system, by all the rest of us? I have to put myself included in there, right? Now, granted, I have 4 children. I remember years ago, I was asking my husband about, should we adopt another child or should we foster a child? And my husband, I mean, and I get where he was coming from. He's like, look, I'm old. We got 500 kids now. Like, I don't think we could take on another. And in his defense, we are at max capacity. That doesn't mean in the future I may or may not, be open to it. But I just find it to be interesting that we have all these people getting on their high horse talking with a whole lot of righteous indignation about these black children, these brown children, these beautiful children who are in the system. They talk about all the bad people who got, or the so-called bad people, the people who had situations, who knows what the story was. Maybe they felt they had no alternative. I don't know. So you've got people who felt like they couldn't take care of the child. I don't know. Maybe they had a problem. I don't know. I think that we don't like to extend grace to anybody, but we've got these children who are sitting in these systems, and we got these high and mighty Black people who don't think that these children should go to non-Black families. So they think it's better for them to sit in the system than to be adopted by a family who loves them. Do I think we want to repair the Black family? No. We don't want to rescue our kids. We're not building anything. And we want to dictate what the Black family should look like. If both parents should be Black, I would say ideally yes, so that the children don't have to deal with a level of confusion about who they are and identity issues. But what if that's not the option? And what if you met somebody and fell in love with that person who doesn't look like you? It's happened to people before. People who've had no intentions of being with people who didn't look like them, but they found a kindred spirit, like on some like Anna Green Gables type stuff. I love that series, Anna Green Gables. For those of you who don't know, I mean, you should go get your life, Anna Green Gables. But yeah, so like, I just find it interesting that we want to sit here again. Are we interested in building that Black family? No. What does the Black family look like? We got a whole bunch of people who want to judge what the Black family looks like. We sure do. You know what? I meant to put this in here. I meant to put this in the stream. My bad. For anybody who wants to join in. Why can't I get this to... Did I do that right? Okay. If you want to call in, let me know. There's the link. So yeah, I just find it to be interesting. We got all these people who have a lot to say. Let me go back to my questions, because I'm messing up here. And we don't even want to rescue our kids. We have a lot of nerve saying that we want to repair the family. We want to repair everything, but we are not interested in building anything. We want to determine what the family should look like, and we're not interested in rescuing our kids from the system. You can miss me with all of that. So we would rather have these little black kids sitting in foster care or whatever it is versus somebody who gives a rat's you know what and bring them into some sort of family unit. Miss me. Do we have a responsibility in the kind of content that we're putting out there in terms of building the Black family? Because see, when you do that, also what we need to understand is representation does matter, but also you almost have to start like this campaign. It has to be like a social reprogramming. We have to get back to the point where we have to say it is okay to see a Black family as a good thing. You don't have to go outside to have family. But like I said in previous lives, I don't think going outside the Black family is a bad thing. Oh, my buddy is here. What's up, CBR KB? Now I'm always on my like high horse. Well, maybe not high horse. I was having a rant.
Yeah, well,
what's going on?
You got much more qualifications in this topic than I do. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you. Can you speak up a little bit?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, your audio is shady.
Hold on, I don't know what's going on here. Mm-hmm. Usually I'm going through the cam and my mic, but
are you sure you're not muted?
No, I just unmuted. Hold on.
I mean, I can hear you. Let me see. I'm gonna turn this one down. I'm gonna mute myself.
Uh-oh, hold up. Apps on. Cool. Camera on. Huh. Not sure. Hold on, I lost you. Hold on, let me get out and get back in. Hmm. Can you hear me? Weird, I can't hear you now. Hold on. My stuff is a little janky right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
See, I can hear you fine.
I'm good. I can hear you now.
Now, see, this is the thing. I can hear you.
Whoa.
Hold on. This is crazy.
All right, I just lost you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I figured out the issue was me.
Mhm. Got to
All
work
right.
it out here in these YouTube streets.
I had to add myself to the stream. I'm sorry.
Got you.
I know this is a situation. I haven't. It's like the visual from my iPad is better than from the computer. The
All right.
computer is agony, so I'm just gonna put. I don't even like. I'm just gonna put my icon up for my computer one. So all right, you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna just run it back real quick. What I said was based off of let me go back to my I want you to take a look at this. So that's my thumbnail.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, it's nonsensical. I honestly do not believe we're that interested in rebuilding back the Black family. And I say this because I look at what's going on. We're not really building anything. What we are doing right now is we are engaging in these this gender war. The language we use it's just full of vitriol. It's disgusting. Um, yeah, that's just where I'm at with it. I just this is so funny. Like look at my computer one. That is so shady. Yeah, so I really don't think we're interested in building the Black family. That's just where I'm at with it. Do you have any thoughts on that before I move on to the next?
Um, I guess it's subjective. I'm not sure. Um,
Hmm.
I don't. I mean, when I look around, I don't know. It's tough because I guess I got a jaded point of view because I look around in my social circle, and the majority of my friends that have families, all married, all raising their families, doing the right thing. A lot of them, their kids are grown and doing well, so they did the job, and essentially they did what you would expect. They raised productive adults. They raised respectful young people, people that kids that out there out here now in their early 20s doing their thing. So my view is a little bit um, swayed because of that. So
But
it's a little.
but the question is, are we interested in building the Black family, right? Because we have generations below us. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: the generations below us are not necessarily hampered with all of our emotional, social, all of our issues, right?
Okay.
Even
So
though the issues still remain, they're just not burdened. At
yeah,
least,
so it seems like the generation behind us are not in a hurry to build families. They're out doing their own thing.
okay,
You know,
that you're
and it seems like they're, from everything from real more specifically from things I read about when people are getting married now, people are getting married later in life, which means families, if they get started, will get started later. But you look at like the 20 somethings right now, they're not interested in that. They're out traveling, they're out just doing them, enjoying themselves. They're not interested right now in being family people. So I don't know if it's I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Um, get I think it's a good idea to get get that stuff out of your system. Do those things. Have
That's not really the question. It's a nuanced question, right? Because I mean,
Okay.
like when I look back in my 20s, I lived
Hmm.
all around the world, and even when I separated from the military, I was still
Hmm.
traveling everywhere up
Hmm.
until my early 30s. Like I, I mean, literally all through Europe, Asia,
Sure.
everything. And multiple times outside the military. Like even as an adult, I haven't been in the
Hmm.
military since 2003. Um, yeah. But with that being said, the question really is, are we really interested in building the Black family? And the reason why I say that was, so earlier when I first came out, what I said was that in the last week or two, when I've been looking on YouTube, because I'm
Hmm.
still in these streets, I was
Hmm.
looking at things like, should I do more shorts and like other things.
Shorts
But
are
what
funny, by the way.
uh, I'm trying to figure out how to do it. I'm like, my kids have matching socks. I, so one of the things that what I noticed was when I was looking up shorts and some stuff with this on Black women, but like
Hmm.
I was seeing so much on when I search on things or just what's naturally showing up is
Hmm.
anti-Black women campaign. I'm like, I'm not even looking for this. Like, I don't look up anything on that weird sphere that shall not be named. I don't want to hear anything about it. It's
Yeah,
like,
buddy.
right? So I don't look up any of that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
I'm trying to think. I think Disha Baz may be trying to join in shortly here.
Mhm.
I guarantee you something's going to be wrong with his audio.
Sure.
So, what was I going to say? Anyway, so what I was saying was when I first got on, um, I mean, when I first started getting into YouTube, much of what I was seeing was like all this stuff against Black women. I'm like, why are they putting this in my feed?
Hmm.
Right. And so when you're seeing it over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm like, well, wait a second. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no, I've seen
why?
that too. I've
Right.
seen that too, but it seems to come from the same like small group of people.
But
It's
why are they showing it to me? Because I'm not trying to see them. And the point I was
Yeah.
getting at was when I see that over and over and over again, right?
Uh-huh.
What happens is I'm like, okay, wait a second. You can't tell me you're interested in building a Black family when everything about it is let's tear down this Black woman. And that's a component to building the Black family. So my
Right.
thing is, it's like, wait a second.
So
How
here's
about this
so I
build
guess I have a question then. Is it that on a grand scale, on a large scale, is this happening, or is it just this small segment of people that have a big voice, right? That are making a lot of noise.
I would say this. I think there is a multi-pronged approach that's happening. If you look at the commercials, Black women are now with white men. I'm
And
not
vice
opposed
versa.
to
Yeah.
it. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not
I don't care
against
one way
it.
or the other. Yeah.
Huh?
I said I don't care one way or the other. Do what makes
Like
you happy.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not against it.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, if I see that in commercials, and then if I get on YouTube and I want to look up like how do I fix my janky audio and this was like, because I'm like on the struggle bus right now. I mean, I didn't even plug in my other camera thing because I was acting like a walking thing. And I'm a technical person, and I'm like a ding dong right now, and I'm waiting for this adapter piece to come in that was supposed to come in by 2. And right before you got on,
Hmm.
Amazon was hitting me up, and it's going to come tomorrow. So I was like, I'm not going to plug it in. It's just so anyway. The point I'm making is the things that I'm looking up, it's not resonate with what's showing up. And so if
Gotcha.
I see on the commercials, Black women are with white men, which I'm like, do you like that could be a form of
No,
happiness.
yeah, I noticed that stuff in the commercials too.
But then
I see a lot more interracial couples. I see a lot more gay couples, all that stuff in the advertising. Then once upon a time, you didn't see that. Hell, they wouldn't allow you to air it, or
right,
the
and
companies would say, no, 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 we don't want to air that. Now
right.
that's what they air mostly.
Disha Baz, it looks like he's having, it says device is not connected. So it looks like he's trying to get on and he got out. And once he gets it together, I'll bring him into the stream. So, but the point I'm making is if I see that and then
Hmm.
I go on YouTube and I constantly see black men going hard against black women,
Hmm.
look at all their thumbnails. It's disgusting. And then you've got people who want to make the memes of black women. We've talked about this before.
Hmm.
So my whole thing is like there's this campaign of having all these crazy memes against black women where they got the weird wigs cocked to the side with the bad makeup and the lopsided boobs. All black women are now fat. And I was like, really? This is what you think of black women? Now I know my hair's got a little bit of a busted situation, but it's my day off. I'm a veteran. Anyway, the point I'm making is I'm a veteran, okay? So, but the point I'm making is I'm like, how can we talk about building family when the language that's used to us
Well,
and about us, both sides
right,
actually,
right. I
is
got you.
full of vitriol.
So
It's
yeah,
disgusting.
yeah, yeah. No, so I know what you mean. I know what you're talking about in terms of the stuff that you see when you look at stuff up. But I always try to look to what do I see in my everyday life when I leave the house, when I'm not looking on YouTube, I'm not looking on the computer, when I'm out and about, if I'm in the grocery store, if I'm in Target, if I'm in different places, when I see families, do I see, what am I seeing versus what's being presented to me in media, whether it be digital media, TV, radio, whatever. What do I see versus what's being marketed to me? And
I'm seeing a lot everywhere. So I put this back up there because DC Baz is in the stream here, but and of course I like to poke. It's okay. We are not interested in building the black family. That's just my personal opinion. I can't see where I don't see where we are building anything. What's being built? Because we're not building relationships with each other. We're not building respectful relationships anywhere, anywhere. And then of course there's the marketing. There's the marketing that's being there. There's a marketing that's on TV, right? They're not
yeah.
showing black families as far as a black person, a black woman or man or whatever like that. So I just don't
So
believe.
that part the marketing part stands out to me because I'm just like, oh, they doing that now. Well, oh, they doing that now. I don't really pay attention to the marketing too much because I don't consider it real. Right? You're trying to sell me or trying to sell a product to everybody. So you try to throw something up that you think can appease everybody. I don't pay that any mind. Um, like I said, for me, I try to pay attention more to what I see around me, and I
But
don't.
we have to be mindful too. Like, is that just a bubble? Is that
Is it? Yeah, that's a great question.
because
And
what do you think, Tisha Baz? Do you think that we're really interested in repairing the black family? I'm not sure if his audio is right.
yeah, he might be talking right now. We can't hear him.
Okay.
All right,
Good
there you
question.
go.
Good topic. Now, when we say who are in this number one point, can you wait? Can
Awesome.
you guys
Who
hear
are we?
me?
I
Yeah.
would say the we are is
Okay.
our black
All right.
people.
The number one point: are we really interested in building the black family? So the question is, we're saying we as black folks in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're saying? We.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I would even, I would even say this. I would even say this. If you look over the last 50 years to 60 years, no, probably no. Let's go. Probably the last 30 to 40 years. I don't think the U.S. is interested in us not only building black families, it's just building families. Period. The
I'm talking
atmosphere
about
has not
black
been
people. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to get.
supportive
I don't
for
want to go down that
families,
rabbit
in
hole.
my
I'm talking
opinion.
about
Just
just
how the
black
economy, how
people.
things have been pushed, the point of making the atmosphere worse. Well, no, 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 no. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
No, no, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I just wanted this to go. we got to look at the overall environment to see, and then also look how this is also affecting us and
No, I don't. Actually, no, I don't. No,
the
I
whole
don't.
environment, the whole
No, no,
thing
no,
of the
no.
whole U.S.
No, I don't. Actually,
economy and how things are
no,
going.
hold on a second.
I don't
Hold
think.
on a,
I think
no,
your
hold on
audio
a,
is
What's
lagging a
that?
bit.
yeah, hold on a second. I want to be intentional, and I want to like keep it right here. Regardless of the circumstances, we know
Am
there
I
are
audio? Who's audio?
Yeah,
you're
hey,
you have a lag. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not sure if you can see that he has a lag. He has a
yeah.
serious lag.
maybe I'll catch up eventually.
You have a serious lag. I'm texting him right now. I think he's like 20 seconds behind.
Right.
How am I sounding?
You are
It's
lag.
coming through clear, but there's a but it's like everything is delayed.
Okay. You are clear but severely delayed. Yeah, you can hear the pinging. he's, he's, he's really delayed. Anyway, so let me just say this while he's getting himself together. I don't want to get caught up in the circumstances behind it, right? Because that's kind of, I mean, it's related. I just want to answer the question: are we interested? Not necessarily, oh, this is based on the circumstances, stuff like that. That's kind of
Okay.
it's supporting your answer, but it's just, are we really
Well,
interested in building the black family?
that goes back to now. Who we're talking about? We as black people. We talking
I'm
about
talking.
we as black
Yes,
people.
yes. Yeah, he's lagging.
I think yeah, we lost.
Okay.
He's in and out.
I, I would say okay. I can hear you guys, but you guys saying I'm lagging behind. I hear
Yes,
you guys fine, but you're saying I guess I'm lagging.
you are like 10 seconds behind.
Okay.
Come out and come back in. I'm
All right.
telling you,
Well, I guess
come
I'll
out,
just answer.
come back in. I'm gonna remove him. Let me see. Let him try to I may have to actually do a hard kick because I don't know why his is doing that. He's gonna have to, yeah, he got out. He's gonna have to come back in.
Okay.
So this is the thing. I want to I want to make sure that we are being clear, regardless of what America's, there may be systems in
The
place.
influence.
Yeah, I want to know, are we interested in building the black family? I'm not so sure that black people are interested and committed into building the black family. I can't say that confidently. I don't think so. Our language towards each other is foul. Our our idea of comedy and content, especially black men on women, black women, foul. We are
So,
literally exploiting our women for hee-haws.
listen,
We're ex-
I like with the. I mean, how I feel about the comedy thing. Nothing's off limits in comedy. I don't know a comedian with specific to comedy. I don't throw comedy in there. I don't even throw the arts in there because I don't know one actor, comedian, whatever that doesn't do a joke about every single segment of humanity. So I can't really say that. As far as how we relate to each other, that's a tough one.
but
That
this is,
really is a tough one because
I hate when people like, I'm gonna be kind of like petty for a second. I do think there should be some form of like, comedy is tough, but
I mean,
at this point, for our community to fleece our own to this extent, the level of exploitation.
but that's my question. What's the exploitation? Because like when I look at when I look at a female
They
comedian, the
don't
big ones,
You
So
don't think he's exploiting for Kevin Hart to talk about his own daughter? You don't
talk
think
about his family? No.
well, hold on, let me finish. The way he talked about his daughter, his underage daughter, and compared her to like a whore and being like a stripper and getting stuff, and no,
I
Tyler,
mean,
that alone, regardless of who's buying it, there's a responsibility.
but let's
You
see,
got
again, I don't
you
see.
got these
So
dudes out here on these YouTube streets, the things that they're putting out
right, but at the same time, I could say when I go see a Melanie Camacho or some more or any of the big female comedians, they do the same thing to
there,
men when it
was
joking
right.
about men. So I don't, but I don't take it as them trying to tear anybody down. I don't take it as them trying to exploit
There
for
is nuance
laughs. It's just
there.
comedy.
There
It's
is
just
nuance there, though. There is nuance, and I'm not saying I'm like, well, what I'm saying is them saying like, "Hey, I want a guy with a," that's sexual exploitation, right? But
sure, sure.
what our guys are doing is they're literally donning costumes. I don't. Are we calling it cosplay, or are we going to
No,
call it
no,
something
no.
else? And they're literally donning wigs and bad makeup and everything. This is the view of Black women now, wearing bad wigs, cocked to the side, bad makeup,
No,
and everything else.
but again, that's see,
Look at the
like I said, again, for me, that's more of a exaggeration of something something that's kind of not based in truth, but you're basing it on something you've experienced in your life, and you're taking it to you're exaggerating it and try and make it funny. I don't look at it as it's like I see that. I don't. When I see that, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, that's how Black women are. No, that's just that character's funny.
But it's not affecting you though, because you're not. Nobody's doing it to you. No one's taking your likeness.
But it,
No one is taking your likeness. You can't tell me that it's not a big deal because they're not taking your likeness. They're not saying this is what femininity looks like on a
but
woman.
that's but in that context, that's not what they're saying. They're just
Is it?
they're taking some. We know that the Medea character is an extreme of was it what would they say back in the day they called a big mama, who was kind of the matriarch of the family, got the kids straight, got everybody da 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 da. Hey, somebody get out of line, go, big mama gonna handle that. We know that Medea is an extreme caricature or exaggeration
You know that
of
blackface
that
is an
person.
extreme caricature of Black people when they were performing like vaudeville acts.
But when but that's a different time and place. If you do blackface now, that's a whole different ball.
Think about it now. That's a racial slander, but this becomes a gender slander now. And I don't want to get too far off on down that bunny trail because I want to bring it back to the question. But
Sure.
what I'm saying is that is dangerous because what happens is the majority of the comedic content within our community comes from Black men, right? It's just sheer numbers.
Well, what we watch.
The majority of the comedic content in our community
Oh
comes.
yeah. Because I've never as popular as Seinfeld is, I've never seen the show, so I know.
Right.
Okay,
But you're not going to see our other cultures getting up there to the level that we are, denigrating their women to that level. They don't do that.
I don't
Maybe
watch.
that's not the case.
Yeah,
You guys
I
are
don't.
an outlier, but that even wasn't like.
I mean, I don't want. The problem is, I don't. I can't. I have nothing to compare it to because I don't watch the white stand-up comics. A lot of them aren't funny to me.
We are co-signing bad behavior. So how is this what I'm saying? So let's circle back to the question was, are we really interested in building the Black family? I'm just trying to figure, what have we built? Where has there been leadership, right? Because what I do know is what they're doing is they're tearing down Black women. Now I'm giving the Black opinionated woman's point of view here.
Sure.
I have to represent, right? I
Right.
have to represent. I'm going to represent hard.
Sure.
What I'm saying is, if we're talking about building the family, who's leading?
Well, okay, so let me back up. Let me back up. When you say building, what does building mean? Does building mean getting married and raising a family? What does building mean? Right? Because if we're talking just getting married and raising a family, people are doing that. Now people aren't succeeding at it long term. We know the divorce rate is 50%, so that's another issue. But people are trying. They may be failing miserably, but it's not the fact that they're willing to go down that road and start down that road maybe and try. So yeah, that would indicate that they're interested in it. Maybe they don't know how. Maybe they're just not cut out, built for it. Maybe they don't have the right examples or the right, I don't know, is mentorship the right word? Is mentorship a good word? The right role models of how to do that? I don't know. But when you say, what does building mean?
That's part of the question. That's the creation of families.
Mhm.
That's creation of support mechanisms to surround the family, which is going to take me to I'm going to go to the next question.
Okay.
Building could mean anything. It could be the literal creation of children. It could be
That's a slippery slope.
it could be the support of the institution of marriage, right? Because, well, this is what does family look like? That's the second question. What does family look like?
Right.
Right. So how can we build the family? But what is that? Well, then it's kind of like you got to say, what does this really look like? What does the family look like? So I had run through some of this earlier, right?
Right.
This is the thing. I don't necessarily, okay, he's trying to come back in. Let's see if we got him right. Are you good? It's going to take him a second to get his audio.
Okay.
So what does the family look like? Now, I say this because the family, do multiracial children count? Because, a lot of people don't even consider them Black now.
When they go out in the world, people see them Black. So, hey, you can say what you consider, but when they walk out in the world, people see a Black person.
Are you there, D. Chappelle?
I'm here.
All right.
Hear me fine.
Yes.
Am I delayed or am I on time?
Well,
sound like you're on time. Or did sound like he was on time.
He might be delayed again.
Okay.
Can you
Am I
hear
delayed
me?
or no?
Can you hear me? Say yes or no.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
I can tell if you're delayed. If you hear me right now saying Bo is the best.
Really?
Are you there?
Said Bo is the best.
I don't think he's gonna say that.
Leave me alone. So what? Okay, we're just gonna work with what we gotta work with. So
you went in and out and you said something about Bo is the best.
He got it.
Whatever. He is shady.
Okay, but you can hear me. No problems, right?
I can, yes. Let's get back.
I can too.
Okay, so let's talk about what does the Black family look like, okay? So the first question was when I said, are we interested in building a family?
No?
That doesn't mean anything. The second question is, what does the Black family look like?
Okay, so first question, let's go. And I know I'm behind here. So the first question was, what was it? Something about do we want to build a Black family? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I would say I think we do, but I think some of the knowledge on how to build a family has been lost. Also, because of the economy, particular roles within the family structure. I don't think that we don't want to build families. I think a lot of us don't know how and know what that entails.
Okay.
So now I was actually, and that you just made me think of something else. Who is the we that we're talking about? Because if you're
you guys sound like you just stopped.
Oh, I did. I stopped talking, but I was gonna say, if you're in middle-aged generation, no, you're not interested in building a family. That part of your life has already passed. But all we talked about 20-somethings, like, what I mean is, like, for me, right? I don't have children right now. I'm not interested in having children at this point in my life. I wanted to, but that ship has sailed as far as I'm concerned. So,
but that doesn't mean you're not family, though. Like, you're married.
Say again?
Though.
Yeah.
children isn't necessarily the be all end all
Well,
to building family,
okay. I'm
right?
just thinking in a traditional, you know, father, mother, kid, two or three or four, whatever that number looks like. That family unit is what I'm thinking of when I think of building a family. Right. You're right. Exactly.
So let me ask you a question. If I, well, not me because I'm married, but if somebody is goes out and they fall in love with someone who's um Asian or white or Indian and they procreate, is that not building a black family?
Technically, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it depends on what rules you follow, right? Do you follow the, was it the 1% rule? Do you follow the 1% rule, or do you consider a mixed child not really black? I don't, for me, I'm like, you're building a.
I consider by multiracial children. It's
I
weird.
mean, well,
They have black heritage. They have lineage.
so
Sorry.
I'll give you I'll give you an example.
So
Like
I,
I'm pretty close to my godson. He lived with me for a couple years, and when he was growing up, his father's white, his mother's black. But when you see him, you would never guess he was a mixed kid. You see a black man. So
well, you
that's why
do.
I say it depends on what people's perceptions are
Okay, but
or
there's
attitudes are
nuance
towards
there.
that.
There's nuance there because my understanding is it typically depends on the race of the mother. If the mother is black, the child is going to grow up with a much stronger constitution about who they are in terms of their blackness versus if the mother is white.
Okay,
That
fair
that's
enough.
okay. So
Okay,
let's be intellectually honest about that. That's number one. Number two, so, me personally, I do consider multiracial children when they have a parent that is black to be black. But I do understand why people consider multiracial children not to be a race of children on their own. I'm like, okay, I mean, that's kind of weird, but I mean, they're black and white or black and
Asian.
Indian
Yeah.
or whatever. Like they're black and that.
Hmm.
So with that and means they are black, they are white. Now, whether or not society recognizes that, that's separate,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, those children, they are black,
Hmm.
something else. So, like to me, I still think. I mean, I get it because a lot of people say, "Well, if you're outside of a black person, is it building a black family?" There's nuance there, but it's not just based off race. See, because I look at it based off of now we got to start answering the question: what about if you have parents who are the same gender? Is that considered family?
Right. So yeah. So I was going to ask you that question too. What should are we talking about the traditional definition of family, or are we talking about just two people raising a family in a household, which is still a family? It's not traditional. It's not, some people frown on it, and I get that. Everybody has their own opinion about that, but at the end of the day, it's still a family.
What do you think about our children who are in the system who get adopted into?
Oh, that system. Okay.
Well, no,
Wow.
I want to talk about that because oftentimes people will say black children should not go to non-black parents, but I'm like, but black people are not adopting our kids.
Well, I would challenge him to say, why do you say that? Because we got just as many black kids who are raised by their black parents who are falling by the wayside. So why not?
I'm for black children if they find a family that doesn't look like. I mean, is it preferable? No, but do you want them to languish in a system that's flawed?
I mean, yeah,
Are
no,
they,
I would rather them have somebody who truly cares about them and who's truly going to try to help them
I agree.
grow up and become a productive adult than rather for them to be sitting in that system
Well, look,
until they're 18 and then get booted out and got to figure it out
I
on their
agree.
own.
Look, we know that there are shenanigans that happens when some of these black children get adopted or fostered out
Sure.
into non-black families, and you know horrible things happen. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm advocating for that. What I am saying is I'm advocating for these children to be part of a family.
Right.
And so when getting back to are we interested in building black families, I'm like, wait a second. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's true. I
Well,
don't even think
that's why I
it's
went back to ask
created
you.
family, period.
And that's why I went back to ask you when you say building, what do what's the definition of building?
I don't
Is
know. I maybe I'm a ding dong. I mean, building, like I said,
I mean,
is
because when you say building, I'm thinking of the traditional. Hey, I'm going to find a wife. We're going to get married. We're going to have kids. We're going to raise our family.
I
We're
would
going
say
to.
I would say if I am being intellectually honest, I would say marrying somebody the opposite gender. No,
Mhm.
I'm not anti other people doing what they want to
No,
do.
we're talking traditional.
Like a family, a typical family is a husband and a wife and some sort of offspring.
Yeah, we're
And
talking traditional. Okay.
okay, and so but I'm not going to knock other family units. Okay,
No, no. I mean, for the sake of the discussion.
I would say if you're going to have these children, I mean, like, let's say you or if you're not
Now,
capable of conceiving, but you wanted children, um, I can understand people saying, well, we just won't.
mhm,
But what I will say is, wait a second, and you can't get mad at people who don't look like you who go and adopt our kids.
right. If you don't want to,
We
yeah,
won't.
yeah.
You can't have all this smoke for that. I'm like,
No,
but they wanted children, and they're like, you know what? But I can get a child every year. They
I,
don't look like me.
I mean, I don't. As long as as long as you're gonna love that kid, take care of that kid, and you're gonna make the effort. Here's the tricky part. So you got the people that don't look like us that adopt a black kid. Well, you're gonna have to learn somehow to relate to the problems and help teach that kid to deal with the problems that they're gonna encounter that only black people would understand. Or that only that yet as a person that looks different from us, you may never cross your mind that these things happen to
That's
this
true.
black kid. Like I think that I know there's a right now there's like a 4-part thing on Colin Kaepernick on Netflix that they did about his life because he's adopted by white parents. And in that series, this is like a 4-part miniseries, and in that series, his his adopted mother talks about, or they touch on how she certain things she just never understood or never knew or had to learn having a black son. So I
Hey,
would say
I'm gonna put my take my camera on for a second because I gotta flip my chicken, and I don't want you guys seeing me being all extra.
we're trying to see the we're trying to see what you got on the stove.
No,
We might want to come over for lunch.
continue on.
Yeah. What we got? You frying up some chicken today? What's going on? Thank you
No,
for your service.
no, no. I have a whole chicken. Oh, this stupid thing. I have a whole chicken in the oven. Actually, something easy today. I didn't feel like doing. We're just gonna have some salad and some chicken here.
Oh, you going healthy?
Yes, I'm trying to get some of these vanity pounds off. Y'all know how I
I
feel.
understand.
But anyway, go ahead about Colin Kaepernick.
No, I was just saying, he was adopted by white parents, and I would say that's the tricky part if you're gonna have, black kids being adopted by, parents of other races and so on and so forth. Is a challenge for those parents is you now have a black child, especially if you have a son. There's certain things that you're gonna have to learn to not relate to, but understand, explain, empathize, the whole nine things that you may have never considered before because it wouldn't affect you.
Mhm.
So things that if and like in you and your husband's case, you're gonna have to have certain talks with your kids. You just know that. You knew that from day one, and you knew that at some point that was coming. But if it was a different race parents raising those kids, they may not know that. They may not understand, hey, my son went out there and this happened to him, and it only happened to him because of the color of his skin, and I don't understand it, nor can I relate to it. So that's the only I would say that's the challenge or whatever, and that would be my concern if seeing kids leave the system and being adopted by parents of another race. And make sure you understand that these things are going to come at you in ways that you may not get, but you're going to have to figure out.
I would say you would have to put your children in black spaces
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think as a white parent you can teach that. I mean, you could say, hey, you're going to experience these types of things, but ultimately you have to immerse the child in black spaces.
Right.
That's what I would say. But I just feel like to sit there and say that they should not be able to raise and love children is insane when our
No.
black people won't go get these kids.
Yeah. No, I think it's better. It's much better for them than being in the system to have somebody that really that cares.
Oh shoot. I used the wrong sorry.
Mm,
Two
mm, mm,
you know, you
mm,
open up your
mm, mm.
seasoning and the wrong side opens and it starts to pour out. So, but I just spread it. That's all right. It's gonna be hella seasoned.
Mm.
But no, I just feel like you can't say it's bad for them if they're not with a black family. I know this is like a sidebar because the question, the main thing is, are we really interested in building black families? I mean, I think if you got well, you got people out there who are like, yeah, we want to build black families, and but then they don't want to do the I'm going to go rescue some of these children and give them that opportunity to have the family unit.
Right.
And that's why I'm like, really, honestly, I just feel like we're just yip yapping. I just think we're playing lip
Right.
service.
Well, yeah, and that's why I asked before. What does building mean? Because for some people, if the kid don't share their DNA, they're not interested.
Yeah, there's a
And
lot.
I can't fault that. I understand that. You want to
I agree to an
have your
extent.
own legacy and so on and so forth. So I get that. I don't agree nor disagree with it. I just get it.
Well, I think and D has dropped off again. Sorry, let me see. Let me get my camera back on. Can you see me good?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, that's my thought on that. I just kind of feel like everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in building a black family. Now, when I say everyone, it's a little tongue in cheek, like
Sure.
everyone.
Sure.
But ultimately, I'm like, I don't think we are.
Yeah.
We're not interested
So
in building a
and
black family. We don't
and
even
then
talk to each other with
now
love.
the next thing I was gonna say was it's also more than just in the family, right? So we've always heard it takes a community to raise a child, so on and so forth. But the way things are now, a lot of times people don't even want you to speak to their child, let alone correct them if I see them doing something wrong, let alone, hey, call you and say, hey, you need to get down here. Little Johnny's doing X, Y, Z, A, B, C. They may, well, why are you all in my business? Why are you all in my kid's business? Well, are you interested in correcting your kid, or are you worried about me letting you know that you need to come handle this business?
He said, "Come
So,
on, this."
well, hey, look, but I mean, you see that, and that to me, that's part of it. That's part of for me, I'm thinking about growing up. My parents didn't have a problem with my neighbors correcting me or pulling me up when they saw me out in the neighborhood doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. I just knew I was going to get it twice. So yeah, that's just what it was. And I to me, as far as I can tell, that approach works. But
I mean, that's
that's
good said, but like I said, when I look back at the whole big thing, when we talk about building the black family, I think the community itself, we're full of homophobes. Now, I am a Christian woman, so I would say I'm not for. I don't get down with the lifestyle, but I feel like that's between you and your higher power. Like you that's your judgment.
that's
Like
yeah. I got
I just
nothing.
I don't,
I'm
I
like,
don't,
look, as long as you cut your grass, pay your taxes, and you be a good
yeah,
neighbor, I don't care what you do when you go in
I
your
just,
bedroom.
yes, I just really don't engage in trying to figure out who we're doing at night. I mean,
Not
it's
my
not my lifestyle. And if
right.
they say, well, what are your thoughts on it? I'm gonna be like, look, if I'm speaking from the worldview of a Christian person, I'm gonna say, hey, that ain't cool. But there's a lot of stuff that us Christians do that's not cool. We kill, we rob, we steal, we gossip, we fornicate, we commit
I
adultery.
was gonna say the pastor bunning the 5 women on the front row. So
Yeah, so I'm
yeah,
like,
so
that's
whatever.
why I say, look,
I can't. Yeah,
I'm not like in support of, and I say that with earmarks, but what I am saying is, look, It's not a lifestyle that aligns with mine.
Right.
However, all of us are falling short on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All of us are falling short.
I'm
So
not for or against. It just is what it is.
right. So I always just tell people, look, what you do in your house now, look, I don't get down like that. But that's between you and who you pray to at night, if you pray at all, or whatever it is that you believe in.
Hmm.
So, like, it is what it is. Now, I say, look, you don't have to like my thoughts or anything like that, but I'm also not going to sit here and have a campaign against you.
Sure.
I'm not sure if I really care all that much.
Right.
I just really don't. Like, I just don't feel like it's something that I need to engage over a lot of mental cycles over.
Right. Right.
Stick whoever you want to stick,
Okay.
lick whoever you want to lick. I don't care. Sticking and licking and sticking. I'm like,
Whatever.
wow.
All right.
Yeah, you came back in on the
Oh,
interesting
man.
part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Let
anyway,
me recap to where we've been, and I guess I've been in and out, and I'm gonna have to cut this short because I have another engagement a little bit that I have to go to. Basically, you were saying, do we want to build the black families? I was saying basically, I think we do, but a lot of us don't know how. A lot of that has been, or we haven't learned how to make the adjustments based on the economy and how things are, and the way how roles have been kind of changed. Our society has pushed different roles, particularly for men and women. Well, particularly women, and I think a lot of the men have not learned to adjust, or both of us have not learned to adjust in those changing roles. The second question again was, what does a black family look like? I mean, I think a black family looks just that. There's a mother, father, black mother, a black father, and black children. Anything other than that is not a black family. So that's and rescuing our kids from the system. Um, the problem is, yeah, we shouldn't allow our kids to get caught in the system, and it goes back to us taking full responsibility of even creating kids and putting ourselves in situation and choosing to lay down with folks or having a child with somebody that we know is not qualified or the best person to procreate with. So we have to
Hmm.
look at those things. So that's the issue why some of these kids are in the system, because people who are not responsible or they're short-sighted and having children, or folks lining up to have a child with a particular dusty dude being child bearer another 5, 7, or 8. So that's why some of these kids are in the system. So, and this is where we need to we got these mega churches. Maybe these mega churches need to step up and create some kind of caring of children. So I
so
know Stevie Arcade, you was talking about having children, I guess, later in life.
Hmm.
So that's maybe one of the things we need to look at. Um, Understanding what is a good pair, what does a good mother and father look like? What is the appropriate age for the father and the mother to be paired and look at having children? Maybe it
Right.
may look at women who are in their 20s may need to seriously consider getting with
And
older men who are more responsible
yeah,
and settled.
and that's a tough one because every situation is different. You know what I mean? It's like my life plan. I wanted to be done having kids by the time I was 26. That didn't work. It didn't work that way. But I was trying to follow my father. Right, my father. I was born when he was 24. My sister when he was
But
26. He was done. That's the
But see,
blueprint I wanted
but
to
the
follow.
difference was is the economy was different and the environment was different. And the environment was more supportive of men of that age. The way
Yeah.
how
Well,
things have changed, there's been a paradigm shift,
there was
and
another
there's
key
some things
factor
we
for
need to
me.
shift with that.
Yeah, the key factor
What's
was my
that?
father was married at that age. I wasn't. So
Right. And
that's a
again,
big
no,
part
but
of
that goes
it.
back to no, but that goes back to the paradigm shift, because why you weren't married, because there's a lot of women who are not marriage material.
Yeah,
We have to
and
be
true,
honest. There's a lot of
true.
these young ladies
men
who
were
are
marriage
not marriage
I'm
material.
I'm gonna be
Huh?
100%
material.
honest. I,
The men weren't always marriage material either because they couldn't provide and they couldn't protect.
Again,
yeah,
that's what I just said. It's a
I
paradigm
didn't hear
shift.
that. All I
Now,
heard was the black woman is bad.
yeah. Now, I will say like what you
Now,
said
if
is a,
that's what you got from that, that's not what I said. That's what you got from it.
I was like,
now.
my spidey senses.
Yeah, now what you said was very true that the environment was completely different. Because like my parents met in college, got married shortly after they graduated. And I remember my dad telling me his first yearly salary out of college was like $7,000 something dollars a year. And I looked at him like he was crazy. Like
But what year was that? No, let's look at
70,
that. What year was that?
he graduated college in 73. So
Right.
so
And during
so
that
they
time period, if you had 7,000, was not that far off. The average, I think,
well that's
income
what
was
I mean.
like
That's what I said.
10,000.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when you said you're right. And that was his income. I don't know what my mom was making. She didn't tell me. But like you said, the environment was different. 7,000, that's half a year at McDonald's now, part-time. So, even
Yeah.
at, in my mid-20s, I think I was in the 50s or something like that. And that in this area, I was like, I gotta make some more money. So getting
Yeah. See,
married
and
probably
and
wouldn't have
and
been a
to
good
be fair,
idea.
and to be fair, a lot of men of our generation, we weren't ready or able to support a family, and that's where the
Sure.
paradigm shift. We was trying to use the same old formula. It's like you having a map. Someone gave you a map of like 50 years ago. So in this map,
Mhm.
let's say if you gave somebody a map today of a map that was like 50 years ago, they're gonna have other countries that don't even exist anymore, like the USSR. You're like, what is this?
Right, right,
So
right,
there has to be an adjustment.
right,
So, and I think that's the problem. We have not made the adjustment or understand the adjustment. That's why I said I think we want to, but we just don't know how or have not made the adjustments of what that looks like. And what that may look like is an older man with a younger woman. It may look like, a woman who's just coming out of college, or maybe she's, who's gone through whatever system or whatever, learning what it takes to support the family, and her finding a man who may be 10 to 15 years older.
right.
Because for a woman, the best her prime years of having a child, because let's be honest, a woman has a clock. A man does not necessarily have a clock. So if that's what we're talking about, so we have to make those adjustments for that clock.
Well, I will say this: when you talk about, I'm going to say a form of hypergamy. I was never against hypergamy. I think people like to paint it as this bad thing. There's something to be said for a woman who's in her mid to late 20s. I just threw that around. Um, in a relationship with someone who's 38,
Right.
uh,
Right.
35, 38, 40,
So
I don't know. Depending on like
if
if
you
you're 25, maybe it's 35. I don't know. But
if you
you see
go
what
by
I'm saying?
Elijah Muhammad, it's half a man's age plus 7.
Yeah. Now, mind you, that scales as you get older. No, no. Let's look at that. Because look, no. Because if you look at it from that time period, let's say back in the day, let's say the
I'm
person was
just
what,
saying.
21? No. The
Right.
person was 21, half that, and then you add 7. The person in the womb was like 17.
Well, yeah, I'm talking
So
about grown.
it
I'm talking about
slides as
legal
you get
age.
older.
Yeah, I'm talking about
No,
legal
no, but
age.
no. But that was like, let's be fair. Being back in, like, let's say the 40s or even the 30s, it wasn't uncommon for a man to be 20 and a woman to be 17 being married. Remember, in a lot of cultures, you are an adult at 13. We can't forget that. There's
Okay.
different cultures that believe that.
Okay. Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
but let's stick with this culture, right?
No, but I'm just saying that because we referenced the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad
Right.
had this wisdom that I think
Yeah.
even today, using that measure, that works
Well,
perfectly in today's measure
let me
and
see if I
system.
well, so
So
if I yeah, because
a man is
I'm
30, a man is 30. What's that? Half of that 15, add 7, boom.
it's 22. Yeah.
So let me just say this. Like I said, I never had an
Oh,
issue
I
with
gotta run,
hyper.
y'all.
Go ahead. I know why you
I
have to
gotta
run.
run.
All
All
right.
right.
So I'm going to
Have a good
wrap
one.
up. See ya. I'm going to wrap up
All right.
with so, do we have a responsibility in our content, right? Because at this point, the messaging
Hmm.
as far as what is a family, I think is getting lost.
Sure.
Like
So
we are
to
literally going to each other from a racial standpoint, from a sex standpoint, from
right.
a age standpoint. It's literally like don't marry. Now I'm speaking from a woman's point of view.
Sure.
If you marry an older guy, you're a gold digger.
Not
I'm like, I
necessarily.
just want to be secure. I want
Well, yeah, no,
it,
yeah, no.
yeah,
And I would say if you're 25 and you marry somebody that's 70,
right.
yeah.
I mean that's
but
the thing, right.
but you talking about 25 marrying 35, 36
No,
or
yeah,
whatever.
right. I mean, like we're gonna like apply a little bit of logic to this, right? So, like, what happens is, if now speaking from a black woman's point of view,
Hmm.
if you're a black woman and you want someone of means, you're a gold digger. I'm like, well, wait a second. I want to be able to be in a situation where I can be my fully feminine self. That doesn't mean that I can't be a highly educated woman or anything like that. But if I also want
Period.
to have children, I want to know that, you know what, I can
He
be.
can hold it down.
And I don't get why these men are losing their freaking mind, because they're like, you know what?
Um.
Oh, let me finish this thought for a second.
Okay, no,
I
listen.
think with a lot of black women, they have not been in that situation for so long. They've had to be the ones to hold it down.
Right.
And so what we're saying is we're tired. And it's not to say that we're trying to get all your money, but it would be nice if whoever, whether it's Radio Raheem or Bob, is
Radio Raheem.
capable of holding it down. So now I can pop out my 500 kids. And oh, by the way, that you think it's okay that I'm a highly educated person too. That shouldn't be like
Yeah.
a scarlet letter.
So no, I don't personally. I don't think it's a scarlet letter, but I think the feet. I think for a lot of guys, the fear is, hey, I don't know if she's with me for the money or with me for me, and I don't want her running off taking half my stuff and da da da. All that kind of
But
all that kind of concern.
black men, I just feel like their entire value is expressed in terms of how big their member is, because they have not been in the position for so long where they were considered providers and creators and influential people. They would consider their value when you listen to people talk like, oh, she just wants some of that, you know what? By Becky or Rashida or whatever. And I'm like, that's how you see yourself, as your only value. Whereas other people in other cultures, they see themselves as like, I am a man because I provide and I create. I build something. I am an influence in my neighborhood. I
Yeah,
contribute to the community. And
yeah.
black people have that.
But I can I can see that in other cultures. Um I can also see that's kind of how we've been conditioned or taught. Like, hey, you better.
But we know better now, right? I mean, hopefully,
We
we
hopefully know
put out
better.
better
Hopefully know better now. Yeah. Yeah.
we put out better content to each other about each other and say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what?
Well, so let me
It's
on the content thing, let me ask you this. Is it that the content's not being put out or it's not being promoted? Because that's two completely different things.
both. It may
Because
be a
I
little.
because I would say the positive content has always been there, but you gotta really dig to find it. It's
Actually, you don't have to go on an odyssey to go find it.
we had well, we had that conversation before. I can't remember if we were just talking or if it was on here on YouTube, but it was the whole if it bleeds, it leads thing. We always see the negative. We always get presented with the negative because it sells, right? But the positive story doesn't sell. Nobody, for whatever reason, people don't tune in for the positive story.
But
People don't
what's
tune
about
in for the.
our people? I apologize because I just cut you off.
No, you good. You good. Go ahead.
No, I would rather you continue because I was really rude. Just to finish
No,
your thought.
it's fine. No, I was just saying it's I don't know what it is, but people for whatever tune in to the shenanigans, the nonsense. I mean, think about it. Jerry Springer is still popular on TV. Maury Povich is still popular on TV. And we know that stuff is not real. We know it's shenanigans. We know it's BS. And people still, I mean, it's a whole new generation. This stuff's been on since we were in high school. And they got a whole new crop of fans that watch that stuff. For whatever reason, it sells. But if I put a show on where I'm bringing on, hey, a guy who's a black CEO who has this beautiful black wife who has her own thing going, and they're raising their kids, and that's all we're going to talk about is and show that type of thing. That show won't last a season. Nobody will watch it.
Disagreement. But what I am saying is we do have a responsibility in the messaging that we do have control over.
Mhm.
We have ton of people out here in these YouTube streets running amok, and I would say men
Mhm.
and women. But
Mhm.
the reason why I lean in on the men is because it is disproportionate. There are more men on YouTube. I mean, I think the data shows it, right? So you're gonna, by sheer numbers, because they have a larger proportion of the YouTube space. Now speaking from the Black people, you're going to
Mhm.
see more of their content. And so I was just saying that I find it to be interesting. Like, we can't possibly talk about building and repairing the Black family, because one of the things I was thinking about was the content that we put out. There is this perception that that if you are a single parent, you are ghetto, you're a
No.
gold digger, you are all these things.
Well, and to
We
me, I think that's what you.
dehumanize people.
And to me, that's where you always say people have to be intellectually honest, and you have to be intellectually. You don't know why that person's a single parent. Were
Exactly.
were they married and the spouse died? Did the person, they have a baby with somebody? Were they truly intended on being together? The relationship just didn't work out, but they're doing what they need to do to raise their kids. They just don't live together. There's any number of reasons why a person becomes a single parent. It's not just that they were the ghetto person, or whatever the case may be. They were a hood rat, or it was a dusty dude, or whatever. All of those different stereotypes. There's any number of reasons people become single parents. And sometimes it's just, hey, I made a mistake and a baby came out of it, but we're doing what we need to do to raise this kid, even though we're not, we did this should have never had the baby in the first place, but now the baby's here.
I
If they're
think part,
doing, so
part
it's
of the
any number of reasons.
well, I think part of the reason why I get so frustrated too is because when you listen to these ridiculous people out here talking, like, I don't understand this unhealthy fascination where Black men are now the accountability police when they don't hold themselves accountable. And I say this because I always think about um, single mothers.
Hmm.
You have a man and a woman who engaged in some activity, and
Sure.
then something came of it, right? A
Yep.
baby, some children came of it.
Hmm.
And they kill me because they keep trying to put the blame on the mother. I'm like, well, wait a second. There's two things. One, both sides have responsibility or blame or whatever. And number two,
Sure.
when you talking about being accountable, I'm like, I think that is the ultimate accountability in terms of, okay, you know what? There was a consequence from my actions, and now I'm going to be accountable when these women are taking care of their children, and then that's still not enough. And so
Yeah.
now
So
there's this campaign to
right.
paint women as
No. So yeah,
evil.
I mean, I think that's dishonest as well. But I also think that's part of, like Disha Baz always some of the circumstances and conditioning of society, right? So I had this conversation with somebody where I'm like, in American society, for the most part, we've reduced fatherhood to a dollar amount. You meet a guy who's not married but has a kid, first thing they may add, do you pay your child support? Well, what does that got to do with me being a father? What does that got to do with me spending time with my kid, or
Well,
making
it does
sure the
have
mother's okay, or making sure, hey, I don't pay child. Let's say I had a kid, I don't pay child support, but I'm on the phone with, I'm checking on her every day. I'm with the kid. Whatever you need, I got it. I'm don't worry. Whatever you need, call me. That all that kind of stuff. But why am I reduced to a dollar amount? How
let me
come
jump
no?
in on that for a second, because I would be offended if you said that to me. I would be.
Why?
Number one, you think, and I'm saying this,
Mhm.
you think because you got on the phone and said a couple of words, but there's
No.
there's the
Well,
day in and day out of
sure,
care
sure.
of children that is a
Well,
bright
okay.
spot.
So maybe I didn't state that as eloquently as I should, but my point was, if I'm doing all the things that a father would normally do, that equates to a hell of a lot more than child support.
I
So,
disagree. I
no,
flatly disagree, because all the things a father would do includes child support.
it does.
It is
I see.
included.
I think it's great. To me, it's greater than that, right? So, like for me, so obviously I grew up with my father in the house, so that wasn't an issue. But let's say my father wasn't around and he was just paying child support, then I would have been a totally different person, right? I can't remember a football game that I played that my father wasn't, well, one, that he wasn't there. If I can't, the reason I hate being late is because my father made sure that he held me accountable if I was 1 minute past the time that he told me to come in. If I did, any little thing that I did, my father was on top of it. My father was on top of me the whole way. That's way bigger than a child support payment. Any little thing that I needed, even to this day, obviously I don't call my father to solve my problems, but even to this day, if I called my father, he would be there in a heartbeat.
Well, so this is the
So
thing.
that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about
We have to
the
be
doing the
intellectually
work of
honest.
being a father.
But we have to be intellectually honest, right? This is the thing what I say about the child support thing. Child support is not just the dollar. So just like you gave the scenario of when people ask, "Hey, did you pay your child support?" It's still just as important as how often are you seeing your child? Are you present? Are you showing up to the games and whole
But,
nine yards?
but
If you
what
see
and
me take my camera off, it's because my husband just got home and I don't like to put him on camera. He doesn't like to be on
it's
camera,
just
so
like my wife. I don't want to.
yeah, so he's behind me right now.
We got spouses that don't like to be on camera.
Yeah, he's always looking for the wings that from last night that I already crushed today. So I did. So, but
But
anyway, I was just gonna say. So when we were talking about, well, what if there was a guy who just paid child support? He is just as foul too.
but that's what I mean. Like, if I'm being a father, it's all inclusive. The money's not going to be an issue. Whatever money is needed, I'm going to provide that anyway. I don't need a child support payment for you to say, hey, look, this tuition need to be taken care of. I got it. This
You're
health insurance, I
like
got
a
it. Whatever it is, I got it.
but you're thinking like a logical person.
Yeah. Well, what else am I supposed to think
The
like?
fact of the matter is there are people who are not like I always say, sorry, I think my husband went downstairs now. So I always say that you take for granted your ability to have common sense, to engage in critical thinking,
I
to
got
be
a
responsible.
buddy of mine tells me that same thing. He's like, you got to stop thinking people think like you. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm just talking responsibility.
But you assume that everybody is in
Responsible.
the
I
same
know.
cloth.
I'm
There are people who literally think that they shouldn't have to pay um like if you go to court and like when you have an infant, like infants cost crazy and like daycare, right? Like
yeah.
they're like, well, why do you need that much money? And I'm just cracking up because I'm like, do you know how much infants cost just for daycare alone?
Yeah, dude.
They're like, you don't need that much money. And then there's the constant supplies and
Mhm.
you
But
know,
and that's, but I mean, all to me, that's all inclusive. If you're doing the job, as a father, and you're doing the job as as a team with that mother, that's all inclusive. Yeah,
but
that's part of the definition. We're gonna handle this together, and I'm gonna make sure I take care of my part of it.
they bless your heart because, like I said, you are assuming that everybody considers it all inclusive. You would be surprised
What's
that
but what? So for me, I don't understand how there's any other definition of part
well,
of being a
I
father. I
don't
don't that
either, but the fact of the matter is there are people who think like they can stop by and hit you up with like, I don't know, $40 or
no,
something.
that's that's crazy.
I don't know. I just picked the numbers. $20
Yeah.
here. My husband to give me for these Girl Scout cookies. So I just picked the number. I was like, there's 20 here. I doubled it. They think they can come by and give you like.
But yeah, but no, yeah. I mean, when I say, to me that's all a part of it. Hey, we got a daycare bill. We got a daycare bill. How are we going to take care of this bill? Either if I got to take care of it and I have to do it, I have to do it. If we do it together, we do it together. Somehow this daycare bill got to get paid. Otherwise, our kid ain't got nowhere to go. Doesn't have anywhere to go during the day, so that bill's got to be paid.
Like I said, you are thinking like a logical person who engages in critical thinking, who has a sense of
but is
responsibility, and who considers that, like you consider that to be the norm because that was your norm. You grew up in that face. And you can't possibly fathom that there are a bunch of there are walking ding dongs out here who don't it's like let me tell you something. Like I have to always check my situation too. Cause like my husband is coaching like teams and stuff. I gotta be a team mom for like basketball.
Right.
Like, I'm running my child to lacrosse. My kids are playing football and soccer.
Yeah.
And my daughter's on the all-star soccer team. Like, that's a lot
Yeah.
going on. And, we are worried about making sure that they have access to opportunity to be checking schoolwork, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of people slip up on that one. So
providing. You saw my short the other day when my son was doing his work, but just not turning it in. And I was like, so you're just gonna do the work and not turn it in though? Like, this is what we're doing? Like, and then I was like, I have failed my child.
Well, you did your part. The child didn't do his. He's old enough. He didn't do his part.
Work. He just like I'm just not gonna turn it in.
Yeah. So wake him promptly. Okay, you don't want to turn your work in? Let me see what I could take from you. You'll remember next time, won't you?
Oh yeah, like several of my kids can do that, except for my daughter though, because she's like perfect in every way, But anyway, what I'm saying is, I just kind of feel like, you take that for granted. I take certain things for granted. Okay, so getting back to responsibility in our content, I think the messaging right now for repairing the family, which goes back to the main topic. We got to come up with something different. And I don't have all the answers. What I do know is we need to be responsible in our content. We have to stop tearing down single mothers and demonizing some of these fathers out here. Right. Because there's a lot of guys doing a lot of good things. And they're
I mean, by the numbers, if you look at the statistics, the majority of guys are doing what they're supposed to do. But society will have you believe else. I'm just talking black and the black fathers. If you look at the statistics, you're like, well, wait a minute. The narrative is this, but the numbers say this. Which one is it?
Yeah, so that's the reason why I said like we should probably be responsible in the content that we're putting out. So I think if you've gone back and look at some of my other videos, because I know I haven't done a panel in a while, I was just tired, but I've been basically saying to Black women at this point, because it's like you have been treated like you're being told that you're all these negative things. Well, if they don't want to deal with you in your current instantiation of who you are, you could tell I sound like an engineer instantiation. If they don't want to deal with you in the current version of yourself, right? Then at this point, seek happiness however you want to be happy. Right. Whether it's hypergamy, whether it's a white guy, whether it's a nerdy guy, whether it's traveling, whatever that means.
Whatever that means for you, yeah.
You have a right to happiness, and you don't have to wait on anyone. You don't have to be gaslit by somebody saying like you are what's wrong with the community.
You do what makes you happy. At the end of the day, you got one life to live, so live it. Yeah.
All right. So what do we do moving forward? Because I know this is going on for quite a bit of time. I'm gonna wrap this up because my high school is going to be coming home in a little bit. And when my kids come home,
that's right. They got school today.
yeah, they have school today. Hallelujah. So, because when I get done with this, I'll be preparing a salad, chopping that up, and getting that ready for dinner to go with this whole chicken that I have in the oven. So, and by the way, my husband's feeling some kind of way, and I made it on purpose messing with him because I'm tired of eating. Like he bought a cow, like a whole situation.
A whole cow?
Actually, got a half a cow.
Okay.
And he was like outrageous with it. We got like 2 deep freezers and a regular refrigerator.
Yeah. The Sub-Zero. That's what I'm talking about.
It's not a Sub-Zero. So like, I am tired of eating red meat, and I'm like, normally people would be like, seriously? I'm like, but trust me, you'll be tired of steak and everything else. So
nothing like a good steak, though.
I know, but we need something to eat. And look, we've got all the bacon and the community. So
yes.
Well, actually, bacon comes from the pig, but
I had bacon this morning. Me and the dog.
I know it comes from pig, but the point I'm making is, so we had chicken last night. No, I'm sorry, not last night, the night before, but I bought a whole chicken and I bought some more chicken. I'm like, what you're not going to do is just have me eating up all this red. I digress. I love my husband, by the way, America.
Chicken fish, yeah, mix it up, chicken fish.
I love my husband, but we're throwing down in his house because I'm not eating any more cow. I'm like, I'm sick and tired of the freaking cow. I know we need therapy. He's like,
hilarious.
He's like, I'm sick of chicken. I'm like, I'm sick
No.
of cow.
Let that man go to his couch, smoke his cigar, drink his cognac, and he'll be all right.
I know. And I told him I'm getting rid of that couch too. I'm like,
No,
that
you
couch
can't get rid of that man's couch.
has got the perfect indent.
Right. It took him years to break that couch in. You cannot,
Like,
you
it does
can't do
not
that.
match any of this decor.
That's okay. Fix the decor to match the couch. You better
But
not throw that man's couch out. You want to see an unhappy man? Throw his couch out.
he starts acting like, look, he's mad because, like, I told him I bought him. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna get back on topic. Just give me a second. I bought like all these extra Christmas trees because I'm a fan of being like. Dun, 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 dun,
Here we
dun.
go. Yeah,
Well,
my wife is like that. I'm
no,
looking
no,
like, look.
but I bought a 6.5-foot Christmas tree with my daughter, by the way. He doesn't want to stay with my daughter. So, I knew exactly what I was doing. Do we want to get this for daddy? And so she picked it out. So I'd be like, come on, we're going to decorate this for daddy. That's going in the basement. See? So we're at Warren's house. I got Christmas trees for everybody's room.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
But the
that's
small ones, they're cute. They're 4 feet. They're pretty. They are super dope. And my daughter has a rose gold one. I digress. Let's get back on topic. All right. So what are we going to do moving forward? What are the plans moving forward? How do we get this right? I would say much of it has to do within our messaging. It starts with how we talk to each other.
yeah.
Talk to each other like
Well,
we're.
how we relate to each other in general. I
We
mean,
got to stop making all this crazy content out here. It's like it's so salacious, and I guess because I don't really follow a whole lot of pop news,
yeah.
I don't really care
You know
about
what? I look at when I see some of the content, it's just one of those, to me, it's one of those things where you can have that conversation productively without being negative. Right. So some of the points are valid, but it's just how it's presented. Some of the points are just like, come on, you way off base, or you just, you just picking on a person, right? But there are some valid points, but the presentation is so bad or the presentation is so negative, you don't want to, I don't want to hear this. Yeah. So it's just not, I don't think it's necessarily the content, but the presentation of the content.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I will say this: though the men who are speaking from that sphere that shall not be named, um, and it's not that they don't have good content in there, but I'm going to be honest, I really don't spend a whole lot of mental cycles engaging in
Yeah.
that.
So like I think
Nasty.
it's got to be somewhere between, like, they consider Steve Harvey pandering, right? So, and then he who shall not be named is just he's just letting people have it. So somewhere in the middle is the conversation that we need to have, right?
Yeah, but this is the thing that I would say. I think even still, some of what's going on is intellectually dishonest in that particular sphere.
Okay.
Okay. Part of this whole accountability police, I think part of it with the gaslighting that's going on. Look, guys, you better go check out a couple of my videos over the last week. There is a lot of gaslighting. They got women out here going to counseling, spend up all that little bit of money because they think they are singularly the problem. I'm like, first of all, why are women, single, beautiful Black women, going to single heterosexual or heterosexual
See,
men?
stop it.
Because this is the thing. Heterosexual men can't tell you how to find a husband. They're not in the market for husbands.
This is true.
Heterosexual men can
This is
tell you
true.
they like as a man, and they're gonna give you the wish list and everything that's gonna be like all their wants, as a woman would, right?
Mm-hmm.
I, as a heterosexual woman, cannot tell you how to.
Well, you know what? I think so. I think to answer your question in terms of why do women think it's something wrong with them or whatever the case may be, because a lot of times you see the single are the ones asking, well, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I find a good man? No, I'm not talking about who they're asking. I'm just saying they're the ones initiating the question. You don't see the single men. Hey man, how do I find a wife? How do I find a good woman? You don't see that conversation. So there's no space around that where you even have an opportunity.
I kind of just because it doesn't come in the form of how do I find a girlfriend or a wife, the rhetoric behind the language is the same because they're looking for a woman. So it may not present itself as, can somebody tell me how to find a girlfriend or a wife or whatever?
Mhm.
That it's not
But
presented.
it's
It's
right.
the same thing.
But well, you just gave the answer. It's the presentation, right? If I'm sitting here saying like, so it's the stereotypical conversation. So don't roast, don't blast me. But it's a stereotypical conversation. It's no good men out here. I can't find a good man. All these men, and you said it in one of your videos. We got to stop saying all men are trash and this, that, and the third. Well, yeah, and then you go ask the wrong person that question, or you go ask he who shall not be named that question, you're going to get a certain answer back. And that's probably not the
He's
way you.
intellectually dishonest anyway. The type of
but,
person that he
but he's not the only one. He's probably the most popular one.
Yeah, he's the one. And look, people have elevated him to demigod, is damn near like cult-like status. And don't even get me started with that, because I'm like, there is something going on with you if you are sitting there like co-signing the ridiculousness. I feel like I want to picking up words like ridiculous or something.
Right.
It is like so outrageous. I'm like, you have a platform and you have a responsibility, and what you're doing is you are feeding a bunch of people who, number one, are damaged.
Mm-hmm.
These are damaged, both sexes, damaged people, hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, they do not have the ability to discern or engage in critical thinking. So they consume everything as if it's gospel. And they are easily influenced.
Or let me ask you, do they not have the ability, or they just not using it? Because a lot of times I hear these people like, I listen. So in the some of the conversations I've heard, I'm like, well, wait a minute. You own your own company, and you're making all this, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're success. Clearly you could critically think because you've built something over here.
No.
So, and you sustain, you have to be able to critically think to be able to build and sustain this. Now, why can't you apply that over here?
No.
Why not?
They are not mutually inclusive.
I didn't say that inclusive. I said, why can't you apply your ability to do it here over here?
You just said clearly you can engage in critical thinking if you can build a company. I don't think they're inclusive.
Well, build it and successfully maintain it. Anybody can start,
but separate skill sets. That's a separate skill set.
It's a separate, but it still requires the ability to critically think. Now, so I'm saying, why can't you take that ability and apply it over here? If you couldn't critically think, you're not going to be able to build and sustain that success.
Well, I'll say this, because off the top of my head, I can't answer that question. So I was gonna actually deflect, but I'm being honest. I'm running because I don't really have a good answer for that. So getting back to he who shall not be named.
Sure.
No. I think with him, I am just grossly disappointed because women are signing up, particularly to.
They're flocking to him.
It is unbelievable. The Jedi mind trick that some of these ding dongs have done. The Jedi mind trick is amazing. Like, I would never be a good candidate to ever go on and have a conversation.
But he couldn't have a conversation with you because you're not the audience.
Right. Well, he's not going to gaslight me. Number two, because I would be like, okay, what you're not going to do is say these things. You're not going to be disrespectful. He's going to mute me. He's going to kick me out of the stream. It wouldn't even last.
But
I would shut him down. Like, no. What you're not going to do is do this.
Right. Yeah, man. Then like the conversation with you would be different because you're not the person he's trying that he's talking to or that he's trying to.
I know. I mean, I know I'm not, but I would say I think he is damaging to the community because what he's got is a group of people in the background, like I said, who don't engage in critical thinking, continues to consume everything. And you got a bunch of people who are already angry. And let me tell you, check this out. This is my personal opinion. They're really angry because of the effects of what white supremacy has had on the community, meaning access to women, or I'm sorry, like just education, financial security, a lot of things that affect our men, where they don't feel empowered, they feel emasculated. Okay, they are emasculated in America, right? Because think about it, Oh, let's one. Our black men. Somebody brought it up to me a while ago. Our black men can't even walk in their full masculinity when being pulled over by the police. They get reduced to be a boy.
Yeah.
Think about how they have to talk. It is emasculating. I was like, ooh. I was like, you know what? Much of these men, and I'm calling out the men, are so angry because they're really angry at the effects of what white supremacy has put on them, their environment. And now there is this need to dominate and subjugate. Like you need to be in charge of something. And they may not know what exactly that looks like, but they start off by the first thing that first hop out. Yes, it's an engineering term, that first hop out, that the black woman. You are wrong. You have done all these things. Think of the language that has been used. The things that they say, they'll say things like, I was caught out there. There's no, that's what they're saying. Like, I was trapped. I was caught out there as if they had no responsibility in their actions. I'm going to put my thing off for a second because my son is coming in. Hey, Colin, I'm live. So make sure you walk around that side. So think about the things they say. Go ahead, walk around that side. So think about the things that are being said. They'll say things like, I was caught out there. She trapped me. And I'm like, well, wait a second. You want to be an alpha male and you want to lead. And yet you're telling me you don't have control over yourself? You don't have control over what happens to you? You don't have, like, she has that much control over you, but yet you want to, how can we possibly put our trust in you? How can we possibly look at you as the alpha male and yet you're saying that you had no control over anything? That's just one example. So when he sits there and he gets these people in the background getting their hee-haws at tearing down a group of damaged people calling into that show, damaged people, and they're getting their hee-haws because they think that's comedy. And it's like, yeah, finally somebody check this out. Some of these like ridiculous dudes will be on other streams. I stopped going to these other streams. They will be on other streams. And when somebody, or if there's a woman that's on there saying something they don't like, and if the men can't browbeat her into submission and listening, now granted, they are problematic too. They will literally put in the comments, where is he who shall not be named? We need him. I'm like, you stand on your own. You mean to tell me you can't voice your own opinions that you need to call out to your demigod?
You crack me up with that.
I am good. Like, I'm like, there's so much I can say about that. I'm like, what he is doing is so intellectually dishonest. It is disgusting, and he has to be mindful. Like, he's just a broke down version of a Joe Rogan. Got all these minds out here caught up captive. Now, I wouldn't mind listening to him because I'm not saying that he probably doesn't have good thoughts. I need to really engage actually before I start.
Yeah. Joe Rogan's he's a whole nother thing, but I watch his channel, but sometimes he's way out in left field. I'm like, I don't know, dude, you tripping. And then other times he does say some stuff that's legit. So he's a mixed bag.
But what he does is he commands a mass audience.
Yes.
And so what happens is
a huge following.
Now we have a bunch of black men who are looking to reclaim their masculinity. I'm like, you either have it or you don't. You either an alpha male or you're not. I don't know why there's this sudden surge for trying to be this alpha male. You have to are or you aren't. And why is that like the goal? How to be an alpha male? I'm like, you are corny. I'm like, you are a corny dude. And half the stuff, let me just say this. Look, this is me at 45. Let me tell you, let me go fix myself up, drop these 20 pounds, and put some and pop some my that weird dude is trying to control me again. So like, let me go pop something, whatever, right? I'm telling you right now, half of the stuff that these guys say back in my day, they were the easiest ones to get. Oh, please.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, pull the Jedi mind trick on them. Be the first one want to give up all their little bit of money.
Well, yeah.
I'm like, look, don't give me stuff. They'll be the first ones. So I'm like, we need to stop. And what he's doing is intellectually dishonest.
I got you. Yeah.
I'll say this. We need to stop going to these men trying to figure out how to get married. If you want to get married, you need to ask married women, how do you find a husband?
How did you pull that off? How'd you pull that off?
Yeah. Single dudes, single heterosexual men are not looking for husbands. I don't know a single
Yeah.
single heterosexual man who can tell you how to find a husband. They are not
Uh,
looking for husbands. I mean, I don't know. Well, you're
It's
married. I
it's
mean,
a
but
it's a it's a yeah. I guess if you think about it, it's a valid point. I never thought about it that way,
and
but
then these guys are out here because I don't care about the guy that's trying to troll me, but like you got people out here literally going to men who've been divorced 500 times. I don't care. It's he who shall not be named, Steve Harvey or whatever.
mm,
Single dudes. I'm like, they're telling you how to find out. I'm like, but what's going on with them? Because apparently they don't have a relationship
yeah,
that is that
um,
meaningful.
yeah. I don't know. I
They tell
mean,
you how to find a successful relationship. Like apparently they don't have the blueprint.
yeah, yeah. Or hey, you made enough mistakes. You should be at least you should be able to tell me the mistakes to avoid.
These are the
But
people that are like co-signing their shenanigans. I was like, I'm
yeah,
done. I'm
I
like, you
mean,
keep getting what you're getting.
I think there's value in both sides. Again, I think it's just the way you present it. So like
Yeah.
I can run through, the women that I dated or that I was with before my wife, and I could tell you each one why I didn't marry them or why I couldn't get to that point with them versus why I could get to that point with my wife. So, I everybody's different, every situation's different, but to somebody there may be some value in that. Now you may take that and it don't work on the next guy, but so I think in that regard, I think that's the maybe the advice or the guidance or whatever you want to call it that they may be looking for. But you always hear the joke about you hear a single woman talking with her single friends about how to catch a man. Well, all of y'all are single, so clearly somebody don't know something. So, it's kind of like you gotta. I think you just gotta have a balance of where you getting
I,
your advice from.
I just think we need to stop talking to each other like we're crap. Like I think black women
Yeah,
definitely need to stop tearing down black men. But I'm like, look, if it's not working for you, then go find
sure, sure.
somebody else. I don't
Yeah,
have an issue with interracial dating as long as I would say there's three things. Number one, you don't think where you're going is the standard. Number two, you don't think that they are better. And number three, the group that you belong to, you don't think that they're lesser than, or you don't
I mean,
badmouth them.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
So I think they're less.
my thing is do what makes you happy, and hey, but if that means you got to be open minded to hey maybe you didn't date a white guy before and you did this time or a Hispanic guy or an Asian guy whatever, and you find out wow this guy he's really really a nice guy, he might be the right guy for you. Okay, cool. Does it matter that he's not black? Would you prefer him to be black? Possibly, but if he's getting treating you the way you want to be treated, giving providing you everything that you need, that you feel you need to be comfortable and all that other good stuff, then so be it. Yeah, I
I,
don't.
I agree with you. I
I don't
think also the main thing I would say too is for all of the people who are out there, I think the biggest thing is like I guess like black guys think that a lot of black women care. I don't know, maybe they do care. I don't know, but I've never cared. Like
I tell you, I got a friend who's married to a white woman, and he's told me he can tell when they're out together. He gets a lot of dirty looks from black women, so
I
they
think
care.
a lot of things, but I don't even care. I mean, like
I don't. Yeah. Now, my other friend's white, the white guy married to a black woman. I've never asked him that if they get dirty looks and that kind of thing when they're out and about. But yeah, he told me he's like I get a lot of dirty looks from black women, and personally, I don't care. So, but apparently they do. So, well, apparently we
I
do.
think this is the only issue I would say is like who you date. Go stick and lick what you want, guys. Like
Yeah.
it's just not a thing for me because like I'm not in the market for it. Number one, and number two, I just kind of feel like my only caution to black men is because I've heard this before is when they allow white women to say, "Why would you want to be with a black woman? I'm better." All this other stuff like that. If you're not checking that, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
You never let someone.
Wow. And I've never run across anybody that said that, not in my
Oh,
presence.
well, they won't say it to me, but I know I have a friend who's had white women say that to him almost as if they're trying to make him into a pick me. And I said, you better be careful falling into that trap because the way she's talking about black women, you got to remember you have a whole black daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you better be careful of that. I would say, somebody was just texting me that they're listening now. So I always say you need to be mindful of that. I would also say that if you find that there's somebody who's making those kind of comments, you need to be careful and recognize what that is rooted in. And a lot of black men, they're thinking like, yeah, I've escaped or whatever. I'm like, you do realize the what was actually said.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I would say that's pretty much it. I know we've gone on way too long. So moving forward, I think the biggest thing is we have to stop talking to each other like trash. We need to stop putting out this trash content.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. We have to stop putting out the trash content.
I would say at least promote the good content because it's out there. It just needs to be promoted.
Yeah. And so that's pretty much it. So a buddy of mine just texted me. He's like, I'm listening now, but I'm like, I don't know when he got on, but we'll get ready. I mean, do you want to come on? Let me see. I mean, do you want to come on real quick? He's gonna be like, no.
Throw something in the comments.
Yeah, let me see. I don't know. Maybe see. I'm really horrible about these comments. Like, I don't ever check.
It's not that. Yeah, it's not a lot in there.
Yeah. So there's the ones that pop up, I guess, from YouTube, one or two, but
Mhm.
I don't have it streaming YouTube because it's like weird things. So it comes
Okay.
up, it goes away. So
Gotcha.
the weird guy that's like more
Troll.
is yeah. I'm like cracking up because I'm like, oh.
Hey, but he's watching.
I'm like, I know. Thank you for the watch hours. I'm like, I'm gonna really test you on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, if it doesn't apply, then it doesn't apply.
That's okay. If he's trolling, that means he's watching.
I know.
So
hey, troll, go get your friends to tune in.
right.
Hey, I can use the watch time.
Don't care if you agree or not, but you're watching.
I don't even care.
It's helping the algorithm.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I must have really touched a nerve. And the fact that you're giving that much energy to them, like, oh.
Yep.
I don't know. I guess because
they say the more hate you get, the more hate you get, the better you're doing. That's what they tell me.
Is that what it is? All right. So I'm wonder if he's paying attention. I guess he must have stopped paying attention. So all right. So look, let's get off this thing. You want to shout out your channel real quick?
CBR Kid 1KRR. So go check it out. All your Huh?
Tell them about it.
So it's just all your motorcycle related content, repairs on the track, on the street. We'll try to get some more street rides before it gets too cold. And got some good surprises coming, possibly a new bike. I'll let you guys will see that. Maybe, maybe not. And anything motorcycle related. So go check your boy out.
All right. So I do watch his content when YouTube is not being shady. And I'm like, oh, video. He's like, it doesn't matter. I can subscribe and hit the notification. It doesn't even tell me. I have to like,
oh wow.
Yeah, like once in the blue moon. I'm like, when did he put that out?
See,
like today, I was watching some. Was it today or this morning? I was like, how did I miss this?
See, YouTube messing with my algorithm, man.
YouTube is not even showing me the people. They're like, no, she said black woman, denied.
Yeah, so you never know.
All right, but look, all right, well, we'll catch up.
Yep.
You up tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Oh, wait. How do I do this? How do I get out of my situation here? Shoot. Oh, man, I'm struggling.